initiatives focused on building AI capabilities and transformation programs across the banking, financial services, and insurance sector. So please come on stage. Joining them on stage are 5 outstanding leaders, and Viju will take the opportunity to introduce them.
So we have an interesting panel. We thought we are in the financial capital here, of India. This is it's called the command center of finance. And we thought if you're in BKC, if you're in Mumbai, the first panel should be from the BFSI. And today we have the movers and shakers of BFSI industry with us. I would invite Mr. Satyan Kumar Jadeja, IBM Consulting Leader, Banking and Financial Services, India and South Asia. Satyan Jadeja leads IBM Consulting, Banking Financial Services practice for India and South Asia, with over 30 years of experience and at the intersection of banking and technology. He has architected and led large-scale digital transformation programs for financial institutes across the region. We have Manish Jaiswal. Manish is a co-founder AdaptSkill AI, ex-MD and CEO of Gurum Housing Finance. Mr. Manish Jaiswal brings over 3 decades of leadership across banking, credit, and financial services. Over the course of his career, he has built scaled institutes across organizations such as Citibank, Eicher Motor, Fultron, and CRISIL. Today, he is a co-founding, AdaptSkill. Thank you, sir. I'll invite Manish Kothari. Manish Kothari is the Group President and Head Commercial Banking, Kotak Mahindra Bank Limited. Mr. Manish Kothari is the Group President and Head of Commercial Bank at Kotak Mahindra Bank, where he leads one of bank's most expansive business spanning agri-finance, rural lending, logistic, infrastructure finance, microcredit, gold loans, serving customers across India's semi-urban and rural economy. He is somebody who's making impact at the Bharat. We welcome you, sir. I'll invite Mr. Manish Arora, MSME Business Lead, M1 Exchange. Mr. Manish Arora brings close to 3 decades of experience in banking and financial services industry with over 22 years dedicated to building and scaling SME business, banking business. Welcome you, Manish. We have now, I welcome Gaurav Marwa, Senior Vice President, Chief Product Engineer Officer, Rebit. Shri Gaurav Marwa is a Senior Vice President and Chief Product Engineer Officer at Rebit, where he leads the product and engineering vertical, driving technological innovation for the financial ecosystem. With over 23 years of experience in product engineering and technology leadership, he has played a key role in building, scaling advanced digital and banking solutions across organizations. We welcome you, sir. I also welcome my co-moderator, Dr. Rupesh Kare, on the dais.
I know, Viju, you wanted to start, but let me steal that thunder. I know you are chief, you are my manager. I should be worried about my appraisal, but but beyond that, I want to break the ice with one very basic question, and I expect some honesty from all of you. How many of you used ChatGPT to prepare for this panel?
So,
not you. None of you. Okay. So I just know they are honest, and they are seasoned, and they don't need ChatGPT, right?
Okay. We thought we will keep the start very light, because whenever we talk about banks, we talk about money, people get quite serious about things, and we want to keep this as a lighter discussion, because there are a lot of people who are not from banking, and there is a large audience which is listening to you across the globe. This is getting relayed across. So we thought we would keep it quite light, and probably your insights to what is happening across the globe on banking is something which we are looking forward. So my first question is for Manish Kothari. Sir, banks have experimented with AI for years now. In your view, what differentiates organizations that are still running pilots from those that have successfully scaled AI across the enterprise? Because a lot of banks, a lot of industries are talking about pilots, but scale is missing. So what's your view on that?
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. Really appreciate that. Grateful for that. I would take the question or break it into two parts. The first piece is with respect to when you look at most of the AI from the point of view of AI, anything which is addressing individual requirements, AI can scale only if you handle it vertically. It can scale only to a certain extent. It will not really provide the ROIs to that extent. But that's always the easiest starting point in any legacy organization. To give you an example, say a chatbot meant for say collections, a chatbot meant for upselling to a customer, or say a fraud detection model. Those are easier to implement. You get to, because it is being implemented in a certain silo. But if you really want to get the benefit of full scale from a AI capability perspective, then you need to really integrate it horizontally in customer journeys or in automated workflows. But then that is where the complication really lies in a legacy organization, because you are dealing with multiple stakeholders, you are dealing with different processes which different people have been following, because all along scale was being built by saying that you do your piece really well. So if you are a salesperson, you do your sales job really well. If you are a credit underwriter, you do your job pretty well. It was never looked at horizontally, but if you really want to create scale, then that horizontal becomes very important, but that is exactly where the complication also really lies. And that's where I bring in the other element, which is how exactly is the organization looking to address it? Is it a business head's priority, a CTO's priority, or is it the CEO's priority? Until and unless it really becomes the CEO's priority to say that, hey, we would want to use or build AI capabilities across the organization, it doesn't really cut across stakeholders that easily. It doesn't get that kind of ownership across stakeholders that easily. And structurally, you have to really solve for it. Different organizations will have to figure it differently, but in my view, it has to be very, very clearly a CEO's priority. And the next piece is, how exactly are you really organizing your data? Again, that's the big issue in legacy organizations, because data is sitting in different systems and different silos and not really talking to each other and not really having a common infrastructure. And unless you really solve for some of those pieces in terms of laying it foundationally, getting that piece right, you really struggle to get scale. That's why most organizations start with some pilots, because that's an easier place to start with. But when you really want some full-scale benefits coming through, then all of these have to really come together for it to start to really play out from the perspective of giving you the ROI. And like I said, legacy organizations have that bit of challenge for sure.
Yeah, and I fully agree with a company like Kotak Mahindra Bank, because you are spread across.
No, absolutely, because we are seeing it play out in real terms, and I can tell you the positive is we have a MD who's championing it. Apart from a CTO, we now have a AI and an innovation officer, right, who's heading that piece, because when you want to drive something horizontally, unless and until you have someone whose life depends on it, and that's how we have really tried to structure it at Kotak, but I'm sure like each organization will need to figure how do you really break that piece to.
Thanks for that answer. I take my second question to Mr. Manish Jaiswal. Many BFSI organizations have strong AI ambitions, but struggle with execution. And that's a story of AI in most of the cases where we are great in ambition, great in pilot, but not there when it comes to execution. In your experience, is the real gap technology, data, or talent?
Thank you, Viju. You're putting me in the spot straight away. As an ex-MD of a housing finance company, I can only tell you that my biggest challenge was when we were syncing the three generational stacks of last. Is it echoing or I need to do something different?
No, it is.
It's echoing.
Yeah. No, not echoing.
It's okay? Fine. So my largest challenge in my last assignment actually was over the last 2 years when I had to set the generational stack aside and sync the past legacy systems and every bit of what my peer and panelist Manish Kothari just mentioned, it just holds true. While I've managed PNL for about 27 years now, I'm not that old as I look, okay, so it's fine. So the toughest were the last 2 years. And let me tell you that the problem, as if AI were to really succeed, is in 5 parts. At the base level, what Manish mentioned is essentially the data infrastructure. How clean is your data? Data is sitting in pockets into various systems, system not integrated, systems don't talk to each other. So when system itself is not integrated, how will human get integrated? That's the first question. Above data, then we need to have capable models, because your models actually can be only as good as your data is. AI is all about predictive power and patterns, and whatever data, if it's making sense, it will give you sensible answers. The third layer, in my view, the most crucial is for most CEOs and MDs, especially for me, was the operational integration. And the real issue is that the CEOs are silos. They sit in their glass walls. They are functional specialists. And AI is cutting across absolutely seamlessly. If I were to say that each function is an organ, AI is the bloodstream. AI needs to nourish every function, every cell of the organization. It is the prismatic lens through which functions will work. And this is the layer I will talk about, the 5 layer. And after this, the most important aspect is the human capability. I think the human engineering needs to really play out in a very big way, because we need to ensure that we don't, what would we reward in education systems? Memorizers, crammers. When did we last reward application? So the entire learning ecosystem is to be turned on its upside down. So in the human engineering, I believe that from silos we will have multidisciplinary, integrated specialists, because all information is available. Your information can be given through AI, and not in the classroom, but at the moment when you need to learn, in the moment you are solving a real problem. So I think human engineering is the 4th layer. And 5th, and the most important, Manish spoke about his boss. And I can tell you that when I was the MD of the company, it was forced on me that if I did not do this, survival wouldn't have been easy, and I could not move from industry laggard to a leader. And therefore, we were one of the first few fintechs who adopted low code, no code, and essentially are hopefully doing. So it is a 5-layer architecture. And the biggest problem right now is right in the middle, which is the operational integration and human capability. I think data is getting sorted, aggregators are in place, fintechs are leading by example, and every organization is kind of getting their own data infrastructure. So this could kind of summarize my experience, Biju. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. My next question is to Gaurav. Rebit is a subsidiary of RBI, and so this question is in that perspective, that from an ecosystem perspective, what are the biggest risk AI introduces into financial systems? model risk, cybersecurity, or system bias?
Thank you, and thank you for setting the context. As we see it into all the three work together. So the model risk is there because some of the core models that are being used are trained not on the data from the Indian subcontinent. That is one of the risks that exists. Cybersecurity is always important because some of the generative features that AI models present today, especially the ones like ChatGPT, which was mentioned, introduces loopholes where people can use them to generate code well within the militarized zones of data centers. And the third one, as you mentioned, is also presented. To solve some of these, the Reserve Bank came out with a report in late 2025. It was a paper which is titled Free AI, Framework for Responsible and Ethical Enablement of AI. That laid the foundation for the work that we have been doing. Along with that, Rebit came out with 3 standardized papers on artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and also enterprise architecture. So couple them together, we are building a platform for the Reserve Bank right now that can sort of help to stay clear of some of the risks that come in. But the free AI report can help to solve some of these problems at a framework and policy level.
Thanks. Very interesting that the models are trained on foreign data and Indian data are quite complex. Or just to ask you a follow-up question, how do you see the data, RBI sees the data in India? Like these models are completely trained on Western data, and how do you see that as a challenge?
Well, our ethnics and the diversity that we have and the kind of culture differences that we present in language, all of those present different types of challenges, plus the data that we get from banks. Of course, if you are referring to that, that is more or less standardized. The reporting formats are global standards. Though when we take a decision, it's the data that comes to the bank is mostly post-mortem. The decision is already taken. But at the point of decision making, the autonomous agents can take decisions, and there are multiple examples that can be seen, which may lead to issues later on in the cycle. And the government of India has launched multiple missions to build homegrown models. AI Kosh is one such initiative. We also work with leading institutes like IIT Madras, their IIT Pravartak program, which is building models which can be used for India-centric problems.
Great. Thanks, Gaurav. Manish, my next question is to you. Fintech platforms often innovate faster than traditional institutions. How is AI enabling new business models in supply chain finance and MSME lending?
Thank you. So you are right. Fintechs have that benefit of not having any legacy, framework or systems. So we have developed from ground zero, at least in M1 Exchange from 2017 onwards. We have been blessed with RBI, framework of working a platform called TREDS, Trade Receivable Electronic Discounting System. So these kind of fintechs, they have benefit of not only the building it from ground zero without any biases, for sure. The other thing which works for us is that we can assimilate a lot of bank or NBFCs which are already operating in this space. They are our partners, right? So whether it comes to provide capital, liquidity on the platform, or whether it comes to learning from them. Like in our case, we have been partnered with 70 banks and NBFCs put together. So we have developed our own business rule engine, credit rule engine on the platform, which are well integrated with all these banks. So that perhaps is another benefit, that every bank has got their own biases of taking a decision of any understanding of any MSME and doing lending basis that. Whereas we are the ones who are aggregating all that data aggregating all that information, aggregating all that, knowledge which sits in the very close corridors of banks, and that is all aggregated and brought on the, digital marketplace like ours. That is definitely, is a big enabler for us. Third thing is basically the benefit of, having worked with very specific target market. Unlike banks, which are, we just saw Manish Kothari mentioning, they have got so many products, to offer, and they have got to provide. They have to become relevant for every, type of customer. Whereas we, like in M1 Exchange, has a very, clear target market, that we are operating in a space which are basically the value chain or supply chain of corporates. So we know these, MSMEs are having sales happening to the corporate, right? So they have certain, capabilities. They have certain, data points which are available, right? Like they are invoicing to large corporates. So they have a e-invoice. They are, having an e-way bill. They are having, certain approval, like ESG guidelines are there for, deciding a vendor or approving a vendor. So they have passed through all those tests. All this muster is done. That litmus test is already done. So the benefit of us is that we are operating in a very niche space, which is where we can develop a very, very specific solution for them. Like in our case, we have developed certain solutions, which we can discuss later maybe. But yes, that is the benefit which fintechs are having.
Yeah, I think it's what you said is the magic is in the, how do you get it, streamlined, and how do you focus on the offerings that you are going to have. Thanks, Manish. We have Satyan. Satyan, many financial institutions have dozens of AI use cases, but struggle to scale them. What are the biggest architectural or organizational barriers you see? And since it's a very interesting play, you come from IBM and you work with the banks and the financial segments. So how do you see this interaction? Because you are on one side highly technically advanced, and when you work with your partners, how do you bridge that gap?
Thank you very much for inviting me here. It's a real pleasure to be part of this distinguished panel, and thank you for the question. I'm from an Indian banking context. I think the Indian banks have, and that's what my observation last 30 years here been, is the rate of adoption of technology by the banking sector. They have really lived up to the challenge. And I think they have a fantastic regulator who kind of enables them to rapidly adopt the different technologies that the banks see, right? I mean, remembering the days of early 2000s, there were unions protesting about computerization and loss of jobs. I think we tied over that. And then the next decade was about the digital banking, and all of us are now, most of us are doing our banking on our mobile app and hardly visit a branch, right? So the way the customers of the banks are also tech savvy, they rapidly adopt. The banks also rapidly accelerate and introduce new set of technologies. And third is that now we are talking about this whole AI adoption. So I'm very confident the way the banks are kind of charting out their strategy of adoption. Obviously, there will be hiccups, there will be barriers. What we see is the problem of scale at adoption. So you start from POCs and then you struggle, because POCs you only get a limited data and then you see, oh, this is working beautifully. Moment you put it into production, then as Manish rightly pointed out, that the source system integrations, the data and everything is different. And suddenly the cost of deploying that model kind of starts hurting. So there's multiple angles to that. But I feel that banks, in terms of adoption, should look at the 4 layers. He pointed out some of those. So right from the infrastructure. And today, there's a lot of talk of the town that everybody is investing huge data centers on AI and AI-enabled data centers, GPU availability, right? But that's a phase, and that phase will pass, and that will get commoditized. So AI infrastructure, after this initial, all the valuations and everything, I think we'll see a stabilization of Gen AI and AI infrastructure. So that's first part of it. And Gaurav rightly pointed out the AI sovereignty part of it. So there is also a cognizance of the fact that at that layer, you should be important that how you are sovereign, independent as a country, as an organization, you should be able to control that infrastructure considering the geopolitical situation. So that is the one layer that infrastructure the banks can really think about. It could be a mix of on-prem versus cloud depending on the use case. So you leverage a hybrid strategy on the infrastructure layer. Next comes the whole construct of your data. And there's a lot of value there. I think banks have still not monetized their data a lot. And so there could be a great value which can be unlocked, whether it's structured, unstructured data. So that's a data layer that you want to bring in and control that layer, right? The third layer is the lot of talk in the town on the large language models and small language models, domain-specific models, all that. That is also will get commoditized, right? Today, there is a race for which model is performing better and some new features. But I think all in all, that layer also should become very standard. You bring your own model, whatever model you want to consume. Your bank, as a bank, bank should be flexible enough to adapt a particular model or from external, from a particular vendor, whatever they choose. So they should make it a platform-centric approach on the model consumption layer. The next layer is the API layer. I think if you see why ChatGPT became very popular, because initially they had a big struggle in terms of adoption. All that did was enable the API interface and give a very simple interface for the world consumers to consume, and it kind of exploded. Same thing we have seen in UPI, right? How simple through few APIs, our payments have exploded to billions of transactions. So that's an example of great appification of your services in the banking world, right? So that layer should be very important. And the last, that's where the maximum value would be. Rest layers are enabling layers or commoditization layers, but that's where the use cases, where you will really see the value coming in. And that's where the banks who will do those right set of use cases will really take the lead in terms of getting that competitive advantage. Because as you rightly said, AI brings in, I'll say, intelligence commoditization, right? Because everybody will become a subject matter expert within seconds now. Earlier we had information commoditization thanks to Google search engine. Everybody has access to same set of information, but AI brings in the commoditization of intelligence. I think the value will shift upwards in terms of your judgment, optimization, decision making. That's where you should have that, and the right human in the loop at that layer to ensure the right decisions are made, because then only you can bring the trust in the AI system you are deploying with the right set of governance and guardrails. So I think that's the where we are seeing the banks should adopt their journey, right, from pilots to at scale. Because India has a problem of scale. Like SBI alone has the customers far exceeding United States entire population plus few European countries. So AI is great at managing at scale.
Beautiful layered answer.
I'm here. Okay, so I mentioned to you about my performance appraisal, right? Selfish motive. When I was constructing this group, okay, and I was thinking that it should be a very good representation of BFSI, right? And you will see here, I did fairly good job. We have a banker, we have a regulator, we have a fintech guy, we have a consultant, and we have financial services. Insurance is missing, so that's the only thing missing. For me, I know each of you directly, indirectly for decades, right? And right now I'm in emotional static movement that how to react, because 30 years before, Manish, if I would have thought, will there be a day when I'll be conversing like you in this format, right? Even being an AI guy for 30 years, I couldn't predict it, right?
Don't drag us today.
So, coming back to this, my question to, you, Manish Pathari, is, I have been your retail customer for years, okay? I witnessed your journey of digital transformation, with other competitors in banking, okay? And whether it's your internet banking, whether it's your ATM, as a customer, I always got a sense you are ahead of the curve. Now, you have been started your journey in AI. Last 2-3 years, we hit Gen AI now. And when you are doing innovation for your organization, you remember Gaurav, regulator, right? He's watching you. How do you balance this? There is a demand from customer competition that you want to do innovation, and there is Gaurav around. How do you do that?
So, well, we need to be thankful that we have a very proactive regulator. Yeah, we are fortunate that RBI has come out with the free AI report and the guidelines in terms of how do you really balance innovation with explainable, auditable, and how do you really earn your trust?
True.
Yeah. So if we can't really be following or adopting AI blindly, because you could, at the current stage at which the banks are, you could really have, if you really do not have a human in the loop, like he said, due diligence as a part of the process, you can lose your customers' trust really soon.
True.
So I don't think that, so it is very important that you have that explainable, auditable process.
Yep.
The second piece is about the governance models. Over the last few years, the ML models have seen a lot of governance, right?
True.
The AI models also need to go through the governance process, so which would mean that you would need to have the certifications, you would need to test it for internal use cases, and only then deploy it into production. Yeah. So it will need to go through those governance process as it starts to get used more and more. And the third most critical piece, of course, I guess we are discussing the DPDP Act and the fact that security of data becomes that much more important. And in my view, these three pieces, all three will have to be really worked upon. So say something security, we think it is a very simple thing, but if suppose there is a user in the organization who's not supposed to be privy to a specific data, but agentic AI is using that data, then that user should not have access to that agentic AI data as well, right? So very, very small pieces, but all of this will really have to come together. And banks obviously are, like I said, one has been fortunate that guidelines have been rolled out, and one is putting all of those pieces in place, because eventually you can't risk customer trust. You are dealing with customers' money.
And do you see any such incidences happen in Kotak where it was a tightrope walk between regulator and innovation, even after following these metrics?
No, thankfully no, because yes, of course, from a business perspective, we end up cribbing a lot about, process is taking too long internally. There are too many checks and balances, but I guess that's part of the game, right? So you, over a period, you kind of start perfecting that rather than say that, I think all of these layers are bottlenecks. Eventually they are not, because one bad press, I guess today reputational risk you can't take, right? So
Thank you, Manish. I come to you, Manish, as well. We talked about, he was asking you the question on technology, data, and talent, right? Me as a practitioner for the last 30 years, I have been struggling a lot on talent side, right? Now you are in scaling business, right? How you think, given the dynamics of this industry, it changes every 2 years. I had to prepare myself in 30 years, or only 5 years after skill myself. This is how I could be relevant. You as a practitioner in this industry, what do you see the most relevant skills in next 5 years?
Thank you, Rupesh. This is exactly one of the reasons why after 34 years, I have chosen to embark on the AI journey myself. As I mentioned to you, human engineering, human capability, skilling, reskilling, training, retraining, deep training, these will be very vital because I truly believe, and I think I heard brilliant, and I would say to the extent spiritual discourses right in the beginning of the inaugural session. One thing is for sure that after every revolution, technological revolution or otherwise, there has never been a fear that people will get out of job. What really happens is there always emerges a new vector. And the new vector, as I see, is that with so much of information available, there was a point of time when we would cram and we would cry and we would mug. In fact, some of us in engineering college would say that ye maggu hai. Sorry, that means that he's a crammer, right? So I'm just trying to say, now, will this be valued now in this current moment? Because all answers are there. So what really now matters is, are you asking the right questions? I think what really will matter is, with all data there, how does human imagination and human thinking come together, and how are you creating a new vector? I see a lot of creativity, innovation, because AI will give you good, smart answers for patterns which exist. True. So therefore, what would be of value is that how would the business construct change? And Manish runs multiple businesses. Probably he would be thinking once he goes back how to buy out his business. On a lighter note though, and your promoter shouldn't get worried. What I would say is that human business, if you look at everything comes down to ROE, return on equity, true. And before that is return on asset. Return on asset has got 3 components. The first component is the revenue line. True. On the revenue line, how can you reduce your cost of acquisition? Okay. And cost of acquisition has got multiple functions over there. How can these functions can get integrated? So therefore, a monoliner functional specialist to a multidisciplinary functional, that's going to be one big skill where you cannot be no more rigid about a function. You need to have a lot of adaptability and flexibility, curiosity. I would feel that such people who can imbibe technology and who show these traits will be more valued in future.
So true. You know, I remember my startup journey in late 90s. The data size was less. We were working on SaaS. 2 years, 22, Gen AI happened. Agentic is happening, and we are going now towards AGI, quantum AI, and I had to upskill myself, and I totally subscribe to what you said. One of the most preferred or wanted skill is the flexibility. How do you respond to the change? Is one thing is required.
And one thing I believe, which would be my view, and you are right in this space, your institution will be doing a very valuable and a great service to the mankind. Why I say that? See, one is a basic elemental learning, classroom learning. You call people in the classroom like this and you train. But when people leave, most of this knowledge evaporates. And how does it translate to wisdom? Wisdom only happens when you are faced with a problem, you are in the moment of truth, and at that very moment, how can integrated thinking come and help you solution at that point of time, because that is the best teaching moment. So I feel that AI will bring this convergence and accelerate learning.
Thank you, Manish. I come to you, Gaurav. You have your stakeholders, these guys, and they are working day and night and working on large data, making your models, and they are complex models, and they have all different purpose and aims. As a regulator, at a top view, what do you think they should adopt as a framework to make the job easier? What framework they should use to, when the data is complex, the models are complex, to make it more, drive the governance, what framework they should using?
Fair. I represent the team that builds, which is where we are also building technology that is secure, reliable, and platform component for the Reserve Bank. So I can answer from that perspective that from point-in-time audits, we would like to probably have continuous observability, because with autonomous agents, the decisions happen very fast, and one of the points that has already been discussed is to have human in the loop, where questions can be asked at some point later in time. And one of the sutras talks about understandable AI. So in the race to sort of adopt innovation and to innovate faster, we need to adopt AI that is understandable and can be understood. The decisions can be sort of audited and later on understood. So those probably would be the groundwork of the platform that we are building, and also the platform or the technology that needs to be adopted.
Okay. Manish, I come to you. Fintech, we hear good things. Fintech, we sometimes don't hear good things, right? Lot of risks, and that leads to the consumer of your industry. The trust level goes down sometime in financing, and I see AI intervenes there, to drive that trust and transparency. How do you respond to it?
So as I mentioned in my earlier address, that fintechs have to collaborate not only with banks and NBFC, which I mentioned, but of course we are a RBI regulated entity. So we have similar audit and similar governance on data security and personal data security, which all the banks and NBFCs goes through in the industry. So luckily we are in a space where we are governed by RBI, and but yes, speaking on the larger interest of other fintechs, I think people have taken the lessons already.
Lessons there.
It's early, when anything new comes up, any new opportunity which is to be seized, right? People become slightly more enthusiastic, and they lose the sight of wisdom, as we said. So I think that era, is behind us for sure.
Okay.
But of course, as we said, our RBI as a regulator itself is so proactive. They have also formed a fintech. Already the regulator is there for fintechs also. It's a self-appointed regulator, but it's already in place, and we believe that the investors putting infinite amount of money on the fintech is also behind. So nowadays everyone knows that capital has a lot of responsibility comes along with you. So you need to be and you're dealing with money only.
Okay.
Right? Fintech, while it's finance and tech, right? So when you're dealing with money, the responsibility is as as high level as banks do go through. And once you have to collaborate with them, and fintechs can only be successful once they are also operating at scale. Suppose in my case, if the bank NIM, net interest margin, is 5%, the fintech fees is just about 0.5%. So it's 10% of what banks earn on the same invoice which we get financed through the banks. So we have to operate at scale, right? So the responsibility actually multiplies exponentially, if you ask me. Because if we don't work with all these technology orchestrated well with all the ecosystem partners, including banks, then we will not be able to scale it up. So we have to earn our margins wafer thin. And it has to be multiplied by the volumes, right? So we in fact, if you ask me right now, fintechs are if not more, equally governed by all the tools of regulation, tools of governance and control mechanism, which we are also equally following. So I can say that with a lot of responsibility.
I think Gaurav is happy. I got the reminder that I'm late. Last question to you from my side, and then I hand it over to Viju. And when I was framing the questions for you, Satyan, I was thinking the days we spend in London Business School, and the questions I was framing in a way that it takes advantage of experience and the subjects and electives we studied in London Business School. My question to you on And you have been a consultant. You have been meeting and doing the projects with fortune companies, multiple companies, and you have a vision and you have an insight to it. For financial institution, right? And we in the era of agentic and now Gen AI, and we are talking about AGI and ASI, how they can intervene to make their jobs easier in next 5 years.
Yeah. So I think we are transitioning from a platform economy to algorithmic economy. Today, if you see, 75% of the trades happening on NASDAQ, NYSE is algorithmic trades. So only 20, maybe now it's 80%. So we are moving into more and more algorithmic economy. So a lot of decisions in banking processes, whether you are customer front-ending or back-end, trade finance, retail banking, corporate banking, we see a significant play of agents, agentic AI creating that value into that role, right? So I think the banks will have to clearly have the task cut out in terms of where to deploy agentic AIs, where to deploy Gen AI, where to deploy classical AIs. It will all coexist. It's not that with one brush you sweep everything with agentic AI, that will not work. So I think the banks will have to carefully choose the functions, front office, back office. For example, I think one great example is, I think today the assets managers are managing trillions of dollars for their clients in terms of assets. Now, today you can ask a chat GPT or somebody to help you develop a portfolio for yourself, and it will be almost as good as a wealth advisor from a bank, right? So that commoditization of that advisory has happened. And actually you have seen a lot of equity erosion of a lot of wealth advisory companies in the world, maybe by 2 to 5% because of commoditization of the information and intelligence. So you have to really come up to that and bring next level of intelligence and decision making, whether it's portfolio optimization, asset management, trade finance. Those are the great areas, I'll say.
And I heard you saying the option of using Gen AI, agentic AI, and classical AI. And my experience has been saying, I want your opinion. If I make a statement that sometimes we have a tendency to overkill, right? Do you see that?
Absolutely, absolutely. There's we have to be very careful. Otherwise, pilots see success, but actual production fails. So you have to carefully evaluate which use cases where. And I think important is that how you leverage, and it should be top down, well governed, because end of the day, you should trust the system and trust in AI. I think today that's bit still lacking. That can I completely take a decision based on AI? In the banking process is still lacking. So the more confidence and trust grows in the AI system, the more the decisions will become more autonomous and more adoption that will happen.
Thank you so much, Satyan. Thank you. Over to you.
Yeah. We have a time for one audience question if we have. Anybody from audience want to ask a question? Thank you. This was amazing. I am surprised that, when somebody said here that, we need to, AI is going to be commoditized, the intelligence is going to be commoditized. It looks very hard with you guys on there, and your intelligence, I don't think we can match that yet. So human is going to be still in loop. And we talked about sovereign AI, which is something we are so proud of India. We are so proud of the financial sector of India, which is one of the strongest. And I'm sure that many of the countries are learning from the financial regulator that we have. Also, Gaurav spoke about understandable AI, something where decisions can be understood and can be audited. So it's so interesting to understand that, there are so much nuances when it comes to BFSI and how AI is being used. So thank you. Thanks for your time. We had a wonderful time with you. Thanks for setting up the stage for such interesting conversations. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Viju. Thank you, Dr. Rupesh. Please, could you wait? Dr. Penny will felicitate our director. Okay. Can you wait for us, please? Okay, so could you please come up to the stage and felicitate our esteemed panelists, and also please, Dr. Penny, if you could stand for the group photograph too.